Whitney Houston easily had one of the most beautiful voices ever recorded. But how was the movie? Cue. What's up, YouTube? It's your man BT. I'm back with another movie review. I went to see the movie I Want to Dance with Somebody. It was the biopic of the music legend Whitney Houston. Sony Pictures released this movie December 23rd, 2022, and this movie ran for 2 hours and 26 minutes. This movie was directed by Kasi Lemmons, whose previous work included Harriet in 2019. I did a movie review on the movie Harriet, and I'll put that up there somewhere to check out if you're interested. Okay, now I got that out of the way, let's get to the cast. UK-born actress Naomi Ackie played the role of Whitney Houston, Ashton Sanders played the role of Bobby Brown, and Stanley Tucci played the role of Clive Davis. Naomi Ackie has held quite a few roles already. She played in the Star Wars movie The Rise of Luke Skywalker, and she also won a British Academy Award for her role in the movie End of the Effing World. I have to go back and watch that. I haven't seen End of the Effing World, but now that I know that she's in it, I think I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. Ashton Sanders has also held his own in quite a few drops. He played in Wu-Tang Clan, the American saga, All Day and the Night, and he played along Denzel Washington in the movie Equalizer 2. And he was also lead in the Academy Award winning movie Moonlight. I did see the movie Moonlight. I thought that was an amazing movie. Kind of caught me off guard a little bit, but it was an amazing movie as well. I think I might go back and maybe I won't. Well, we'll see. We'll see. And everybody knows who Stanley Tucci is. He played the role of Clive Davis. The resemblance was remarkable in this movie. Stanley Tucci, he looked just like Clive Davis in this movie. And if you don't know who Stanley Tucci is, he's played in a ton of movies. He also played in that Searching for Italy CNN 6-part series. I think he won an award, but he won some kind of creative acting award for it. I can't remember off the top of my head. I had notes, but I'm not even looking up. So this movie was truly packed with talent, but did they pull it off? Alright, Naomi did a wonderful job capturing the spirit of Whitney Houston without a whole lot of overacting. She is an amazingly talented actress. She had a really difficult role. I'm sure that there was so much pressure on her to do well in this movie. There were the real life interviews, and she reenacted a lot of the real life interviews that Whitney did back in the day, and she had that same spirit, that same that Whitney Houston had when she would be on TV, when they would hit her with some of these tough questions about drugs or whatever. She always came back, and there was a lot of controversy back in the day about her music itself, saying that it just wasn't black enough. But I think she held her own, and she really gave you Whitney when you watch this movie. And for those who asked on my Facebook post, Naomi did not sing in this movie. That was all Whitney. I think that you could hear the difference from the original versions of the songs that she sang, because they were live versions, so they're not going to sound exactly the same. But I think that Naomi had a great voice, and I think that voice kind of transcended over, so you really got the spirit that Naomi was singing these songs because of her real life voice. Throughout the movie, I did not know. I had to go back and do some research to find out that these were live versions of Whitney Houston songs. Naomi didn't actually sing these songs, but she did a very good job with the acting side of it, and she really gave you Whitney Houston. I can honestly say she really gave you Whitney Houston. I'm gonna tell you, I was nervous about this movie for a few reasons. First reason being, I didn't want this movie to come off as Hallmark or generic, just like a generic, the Bobby Brown story, the Ralph Tresvant story. I didn't want it to just kind of sit there and not carry the weight that I think that Whitney Houston had on the music industry. Number two, I didn't want this movie to come off like a cautionary tale about the use of drugs. I mean, if you really think about it, a lot of the greats have died because of drug use, and I didn't want that to be the main focus of the movie. And three, I didn't want the role of Bobby Brown to be a villain. I didn't want everything to fall on Bobby Brown. I mean, when Whitney Houston passed away, it was so much talk and controversy, and everyone turned around and just kind of pointed the finger at Bobby Brown like Whitney was this perfect person. Of course, there are no perfect people, and I think this movie did a really good job in saying that, hey, Whitney Houston wasn't a clone. She wasn't being led. She actually made her own decisions, and I think that I would really I really think that that was an important piece of the director, and I think that that Cassie did a great job. This movie was highly anticipated, and it came out right around the holidays, so there was a lot of hype and there was a lot of expectations. I think this movie lived up to both the hype and the expectations. And the thing is, while you know what's gonna happen because you know the Whitney Houston story, you know, it was still gripping. It still hurt. It was just like, oh no, she can't die. You know, I wanted the movie to just keep going on and on and on. Even though it ran a little over 2 hours, I would have watched it for another hour if she would have just stayed alive. You know what I mean? This movie was given a super low rating by Rotten Tomatoes of 46%. I was just like, wait a minute. Violent Night got like a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes. And while I'm not dissing that movie, I was just like, yo, who's paying attention to these critics? I was like, it just blows my mind a little bit. Like, luckily, the audience score for this movie was 91. So the audience loved it, and it makes me happy that movies are not made for critics, that they're made for audiences. The critics' consensus was that this was just like another biopic for nostalgia's sake, and Whitney fans, which I'm sure outnumber movie critics, really got the movie. So I think the critics got it totally wrong in this movie. Well, Rotten Tomatoes. I'll say Rotten Tomatoes got it totally wrong in this movie. So, you know, for those who actually grew up in that era, of course, Whitney Houston fans gonna love this movie. So for those who didn't grow up in the Whitney Houston era, you know, I would love you to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this movie. I'm BT Bond. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the ticket line. Peace.